Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roman Papaduke, and I'm the Executive Director of the George Bush Presidential Library Foundation. On behalf of the Foundation and the other sponsors of tonight's program, welcome to this very special evening. I'd like to start off by thanking the 9 Days Choir for their brilliant performance before the evening started. So thank you once again. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Tonight we are pleased to host former Speaker Newt Gingrich and his lovely wife Callista in the screening of their film 9 Days That Changed the World. Pope John Paul II is a historic figure who has had an impact on the spiritual world as well as the secular world. The Pope's energy, vision, and message of peace served as an inspiration to his own countrymen in Poland and to countless millions around the world. The movie the Gingriches produced captures the Pope's impact and influence and will serve as an inspiration to future generations. Joining us also tonight are Jim and Meredith Olson. As CIA personnel, they observed many of the changes that led to the rise of freedom throughout Eastern Europe and the demise of the Soviet Union. Jim is currently on the faculty of the George Bush School here at Texas A&M University. He teaches intelligence issues and is the author of Fair Play, The Moral Dilemmas of Spying. He has received a number of awards from the CIA, and prior to joining the CIA, he served in the Navy and attained the rank of lieutenant commander. Meredith Olson was a CIA analyst when she met Jim at the CIA. They married in 1971 and have 3 children. Together, they were an important overseas team whose postings took them to the Soviet Union, Austria, and Mexico. Before we proceed with the program, I have a few announcements. Tonight's program is sponsored by a number of organizations, including the William Waldo Cameron Forum at the Bush Foundation, Red Sea Catholic Radio, and the Texas A&M Catholic Students Association. The Bush Foundation is grateful to Flo Creighton, who endowed the Cameron Forum in memory of her father. She was unable to join us tonight, but her support has been instrumental to the success of the foundation over the years. We greatly appreciate everything she does for us. We have an overflow crowd tonight. A number of our guests are viewing the program on closed-circuit television in the adjoining auditorium. I ask that these guests remain seated at the conclusion of the program so that the Gingriches can visit with you as well. Tonight's event is also being live-streamed, and I extend a special welcome to all our viewers. Following the program, there will be a book signing by the Gingriches in the lobby, so you're welcome to join them at that time. Right now, I'd like to call to the podium Jim and Meredith Olson.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, Roman, for that nice introduction. Jim and I are absolutely delighted to be with you tonight for what we are certain will be a very, very special evening.
Meredith and I are children of the Cold War. Just as both our fathers served in World War II to fight German and Japanese totalitarianism and tyranny, Meredith and I wanted to do our part in the epic confrontation of our generation, the effort to contain and defeat cruel, oppressive, and atheistic communism.
I actually joined the CIA first, and how that happened was a bit unusual. I was born in a small farming community in central Washington state called Ellensburg. And in 1960, when I was in 8th grade, a man from our town named William Martin, who was with the National Security Agency and was a cryptographer, he defected to the Soviet Union. Well, that was such a source of shame to our community that I vowed that someday I would redeem the reputation of my small hometown. So, after graduating from Gonzaga University, I was hired by the CIA, and I began work as a German analyst.
I come from Iowa. After serving in the United States Navy and graduating from law school at the University of Iowa, I accepted a position in the CIA's clandestine service. While waiting for my paramilitary training to start, I had an interim assignment doing what we call target studies of French companies trading illegally with the Chinese. So every day I walked across CIA headquarters from the operational side to the French analytical section to get access to the French company files. And as luck would have it, the French section was just beyond the German section. And every day as I was walking past, I couldn't help noticing out of the corner of my eye this lovely young creature who was working there as a German analyst. Spies have to have really good peripheral vision. I watched from afar for quite some time before I finally had the courage to act. I noticed that this still unnamed German analyst had lunch occasionally with a French analyst whom I'd gotten to know. So one day I said to this French analyst, "I notice you have lunch sometimes with a German analyst." And she said, "You must mean Meredith." And that was the first time I heard Meredith's name. Then I really went for it. "You wouldn't happen to have her phone number, would you?" She did, and that night I made what we call a cold call. "You don't know me," I said, "but I've been working on the French desk and just wondered if you'd be free for dinner and a movie some evening." And that's how it all started. This year, Meredith and I will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. Thank you. I should point out, by the way, that the CIA is a great place to meet people of the opposite sex. Because when I met Meredith there, I knew she'd had a thorough background investigation and got regular polygraph exams, and of course, she knew the same things about me.
Jim and I were undercover our entire career with the CIA, so we couldn't tell anyone for whom we worked or what we really did. During all those years, my parents didn't know we were with the CIA. Jim's parents didn't know. Our friends didn't know. Jim had lots of different covers. He was a journalist, a banker, a book publisher, a diplomat, and so on. He frequently changed jobs in quick succession. My dad thought I had married a loser. A loser who couldn't keep a job. When we came out from undercover for Jim to accept the professorship at the George Bush School of Government and Public Service, it was my dad who was happier than anyone else because he realized that this ne'er-do-well son-in-law of his, who could never keep a job, had actually been doing something consistent and, in his eyes, honorable for all those years.
Meredith and I were trained in surveillance detection, clandestine photography, secret writing, tapping phones, bugging rooms, and all the other skills needed to carry out espionage and covert action for our country overseas. This all came to a head when we served undercover in Moscow at the height of the Cold War.
It's really strange, but as Jim and the children and I were flying to Moscow to begin our assignment there, the pilot at one point announced on the loudspeaker, "We are now flying over Warsaw, Poland." This was in 1978, the same year John Paul II was elected Pope. I don't know why, but when the pilot made that announcement, I was struck with this sensation that Poland would one day play a key role, not only in our professional lives, but in world history, which of course we'll see tonight that it did. I'll never forget that sensation. I had my first glimpse of communism in action when we landed at the Sheremetyevo airport in Moscow. The passport control line stretched all the way across the airport, and it was moving very, very slowly. Our 4-year-old son, Joshua, really had to go to the bathroom. Jim asked the guards, could he get out of line to take his son to the toilet? And the answer was obviously, "Niet." So our little boy was in such pain and was crying at this point that I fished into my purse and I found this small Excedrin bottle. So I dumped the contents out into my purse and we used that Excedrin bottle for our son to be able to eliminate himself. So, but you can imagine the contents of his bladder quickly overflowed the size of that Excedrin bottle. So he created quite a puddle on the floor. We felt very sad for all of those other passengers who had to bystep that puddle, but we thought it served those communists right.
Most Americans today, particularly our young people, have no real appreciation of how truly evil communism was. Meredith and I saw it every day in Moscow. The lack of food and consumer goods, the total repression of any form of dissent, the long lines everywhere, the despair of the people, the rampant alcoholism, and the crushing of any creativity or initiative. And the history of Soviet communism is marked by atrocity after atrocity. The annihilation of the kulaks, the purges, the assassinations, and the gulags.
We were in Moscow when Pope John Paul II visited Poland in 1979. The communist-controlled press went berserk. How could those Polish communists allow such a dangerous symbol